Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. This is Kendra. So in this video, we're going to be continuing looking at some space stuff. So this is First Man. This is I believe it's 2018 when this film came out. Yeah, 2018 Ryan Gosling film about Neil Armstrong. You know, the guy who first landed on first landed and walked on the moon. So this is definitely for the high school and up. And I don't know how to describe this film. Even after looking into it, it has a very interesting tone to it. You don't get the excitement you would get out of something like Apollo 13. There's a lot of energy in Apollo 13. It's different with First Man. Now, this does have something to do with the fact that they were trying to be as accurate as possible to Neil Armstrong, who was, from what I was able to read, it is based off the autobiography that was done of him. And for him, NASA was very much a job, and that's what you get. It was very much almost a 9-to-5 job to him. And as much as you don't see the energy or the passion that you would see with some of the other astronauts, again, in something like Apollo 13, where there was a lot more excitement and anticipation in that film. Now, Neil Armstrong was both part of the Gemini program and the Apollo program. So, and he was only in space twice. So and he was a test pilot. You do get the beginning of it. You don't see him in the military because he was in the military. He did fly in the Korean War, but he was a civilian by the time he joined NASA. So he was so when you have the 3 space programs, you have Mercury, which was the very beginning, and that was military test pilots only. So he was part of both Gemini, which was next, and then Apollo. So he flew in commanded the Gemini 8. While he was also a test pilot, he also had a college degree through Purdue, which was paid for by the military. So he had a bachelor's degree in, I believe, aeronautics. So he was very big in the math. So he knew the math as well. He wasn't typical. He wasn't like some of the other pilots who were Navy pilots or Air Force pilots and they were daredevils. They had the energy. Neil Armstrong, and Ryan Gosling plays him to this, was very humble. This wasn't, again, why he enjoyed the work, and he obviously wanted to do this, otherwise he wouldn't have applied in the first place, because he did have to apply. It was a job. He didn't have the arrogance and the personality that you would find in some of the other astronauts. And there wasn't that energy in this film. It definitely played off the focus on, it starts off with him being a test pilot, and his daughter ended up with brain cancer and died at the age of 2, so he's dealing with that. Him thinking he keeps kind of messing up because he wants to go to space. And yet he's still very humble, and again, he's still very into the math and the trajectories of this. So he joins NASA. You do see his interactions with his wife, who is played brilliantly by Claire Foy. I may be mispronouncing her. And they act it very, very well. But it's a very solemn film. you don't see, again, there's not as much energy to it, which again kind of reflects Neil Armstrong, who after he did Apollo 11, he stayed at NASA for about a year and then he left. And he eventually became a professor, and he stayed away from rocket science whatsoever because he didn't want to play on the notoriety, though he did do some commercials and was a face of a couple of brands playing on that. But otherwise, he was extremely humble, and you get that. Now, this film only starts, it goes from when his daughter was dying, essentially, when he was still a test pilot, to when he applied for and joined the Gemini program through Gemini 8. You see the experience of, and this is why I say this is for the younger ones, what happened with the Apollo 1 team, where because they messed around with the capsule and there was a fire, they did end up dying, and these were his friends. So he interacts with that not too long there. He was not there. He was in D.C. representing the program, because again, they were trying to get funding. So again, you remember when this was. We landed on the moon in, like 67? So Vietnam War was going on, civil rights was going on, students' rights was going on. There was a whole bunch of stuff going on at this moment. So Congress was dealing with stuff. So they were there getting funding along with a couple other people when Apollo 1 happened, basically, when the fire happened, when they were doing just kind of a test run. So he lost friends to that, and it's at least shown not that long after that he was told that he was going to be commanding Apollo 11, which likely would be the first moon landing. So you definitely see that loss, where he's lost his friends, he's lost his daughter, he loses some more friends in a crash from one of the test planes. So you get that somber feeling of he knows how dangerous this is, and it's not energizing for him. It's something very, very different. So, and you see kind of the drama with his wife, his first wife. So it's a good film. Ryan Gosling does a fantastic job, but it's not an exciting film. If you're looking for, it is decently accurate to the historical events, but you're seeing a lot of stuff primarily through the eyes of Neil Armstrong, and it's his mood that carries it. So that's the one drawback to this film, is you don't get the energy, you don't get the excitement of it. And I think from what I read, they play up a little bit too much of the people thinking they should be spending money on it. And that's the general public. Most of the general public were very, very into the space program, particularly younger people. So it was something apart from the chaos that was going on. And it brought a lot of people together when he landed on the moon. And that pretty much is where it ends. You see a little bit of them landing on the moon. You see a little bit of them in quarantine, and it ends with him seeing his wife at an event that never happened through glass, because he's still in quarantine. And that is how it ends. So it ends shortly after the Apollo mission. It doesn't go into anything else. It just kind of follows like midway up through the Gemini program and a few other things. It also, I think one of the other things that I read that it messed up, it shows him in this spinning apparatus that he never used. That was they stopped using that as in the Gemini program. And yet he actually had to deal with something like that, because when they were doing a docking exercise with Gemini 8, there was a malfunction and they end up spinning out of control, and they exaggerate that. And he had to get control of it. And then they were brought back down. And he wasn't, I think it shows that he wasn't very happy about having to abort the mission. Because again, he was very much into the science. He was into the science and that side of it rather than the energy and the excitement of it. And it is well known that he was very quiet about it. Yes, he didn't like to give interviews. He did do some stuff. He wasn't as a recluse, but he didn't want to play on it that much. So, and that's what you get from the film. It's enjoyable, yes, but it definitely has that somber feeling, which kind of threw me off when I was personally watching it. It is very, very interesting. I'm not going to not recommend this film, but I'm going to leave that warning that has that very somber kind of, this is a job, it's interesting, but you don't get the feel of the energy of just how amazing this was. It's very quiet. So, enjoyable, but again, it had me feeling a little off just because of the tone. So, that is it about this review. This is, let's see how long this is, because I think it's about it's a little over 2 hours long. So, it's a good film. I'm going to recommend it if you're very interested in the space program. If you're, particularly my homeschooling crowd, if you're studying Neil Armstrong specifically, this is a great film to do. If you're looking for something with more energy, definitely look at Apollo 13. I am going to be trying to review From the Earth to the Moon, which may take a little bit because it's a little bit longer, and I have it in Blu-ray, which I have to watch on my living room television because my little DVD player, which is what I watch this on, won't accept Blu-ray. So, and that's going to take, and I own that. So this is borrowed from the library. It needs to go back. But again, it's a good film if you're studying Neil Armstrong. If you're looking for more information with the space program as a whole, go for something else. Like The Earth to the Moon is going to cover the Apollo program. Apollo 13 covers Apollo 13. And yes, I already did that. So, but that is it for this review. If you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to be finishing up covering space here in October. My daughter seems to be going to bed a little bit earlier, so I may be able to catch up on things. We are doing Diwali next month. And thankfully all the books and stuff for that are filmed and ready to go. So I don't have to worry about that. I will get to the series. The series stuff is going to just slow down for a while. I'm not going to focus too much. I will get it I'll get to it when I can. So I will finish, what is the series? The Dragon Masters. I will get to that as I can. So like and subscribe. Leave a positive comment if you have one. Check out the rest of the channel. Thank you.